All right, hey gang, Dr. Michael Derry here today. So we're gonna go over 10 great stretches to help relieve lower back pain that can range from some stiffness and some achiness. These are exercises that we do all the time. I have Clara with me again today. She's gonna demonstrate these, and I'm gonna provide some great cues along the way. I'm going over 10, and I'm not saying you need to do all 10 in a row to have some relief or improve some stiffness, but you'll find those 1 to 2 that do really well for you. And that's just your back, right? So you'll find that package that does well for you. I'm gonna leave in the description the dosage, so the reps and sets that we typically recommend with some of these, but try them out, listen to your body along the way. No package is, no package fits all, and so you just wanna find what works for you. So dosage, reps, and sets will be in the description. And guys, if you like what I'm putting out there and you wanna support the channel, just subscribe. So we're gonna go over those 10 best stretches. Here we go. So we're gonna go over the very first 2 here being like a child's pose or a prayer stretch variation. I'm sure you guys have done this before, but I wanna give you 2 little twists. And so the first one is gonna be a prayer stretch with a posterior tilt. So she's gonna get on her hands and knees here. And so you always wanna make sure that your hands are stacked underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. And so the first one's gonna be the prayer stretch or child's pose with a posterior tilt. And so that's just tilting the pelvis underneath you and then coming down into the stretch, just like so. And so when you do this stretch, you really want to feel it in your lower back and then come back up. And so how long you hold is really dependent on you. I typically recommend just 1 breath worth. And so you kind of breathe in, okay, get those air in your lungs, and then come down and feel that stretch into your lower back. This is great for people who have any stiffness and achiness in their back. And you're gonna tilt again, that posterior tilt underneath you, and having that good stretch at the very end. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful stretch to get things loosened up and feeling better. It's a great way to relieve some of that lower back discomfort, and that's where you should feel it, is that tilt and then come back down. So that really attacks the lower back. It's a great place to get some stretching, and it helps relieve some of that achiness. Now, if you have any discomfort in your hips or anything like that, you can always spread your knees apart to help relieve the hip and then come underneath it as well. And just relax, enjoy that stretch. And with a lot of these that we're going over today, you don't need a ton of room, you just need a little bit of space and no equipment, so that's what another benefit of doing this. So now she's gonna do the prayer stretch with a bias, and what I mean by bias is one side or another. So let's pretend that Clara has right-sided stiffness and achiness. So she is going to cross her right hand over her left, just like that, and then she's gonna sit her hips down more towards her right foot. And so if you can get that nice elongation of that right side, it can really bias the lats, maybe the quadratus, as well as just the right-sided lower back. And so if she comes back up, we can pretend for a second she had left-sided discomfort. She can go into that left-sided stretch by crossing her left arm over her right and really biasing that left side to help loosen up that left side. And so that first one being the posterior tilt, the second one being the bias, and people love that because you can really find your discomfort, which can make all the difference in trying to achieve that stretch. So that's the first 2, and then we're gonna move on. All right, so now we're moving on. Now Claire's gonna switch over on her back. Yep. And so typically people like to stretch on their back because this is a comfortable position, especially with the knees bent and up. Can you scoot your head down a little bit right there? Perfect. So the knees bent is typically a great position for the back because it helps just relax the back and moves it out of extension into a little bit of flexion, which tends to be more comfortable. But her first one here she's gonna do is just a knees, or we're gonna go into trunk rotation first. Thanks for the reminder. So we're gonna rotate side to side. And so this one's easy because gravity is just helping you out. Do not force your knees over. Like, there's no sense in doing that. You just want gravity to kind of take your knees as far as they're willing to go, and you want to feel this in your back. So oftentimes people, when they rotate to the right, they feel it in the left, and when they rotate to the left, they feel it in the right. And so when I help patients through this, that's usually what I recommend to them. And then, you know, if you want to try it with your feet a little bit more spread apart or a little bit closer together, you have that variation. If your neck is bothering you, then just have a pillow underneath your neck. It's not that big of a deal. If you can't do this on the floor, you could do it in your bed. There's lots of places you can get this done. This is a very common trunk rotation exercise that is often prescribed. But the next step, the 4th thing moving into, is the trunk rotation with a little bit extra. And so let's pretend that Clara wants to stretch her right side a little bit more, so she's gonna cross her right leg over her left like so, and then just rotate to the left side. And so getting that little extra weight from the legs crossing allows her to get that side a little bit better, and so she can feel that pull in the other side of it, which is really, really great. So she'll cross on the other side, get that little extra weight, and let gravity take you down and get that extra little stretch or bias. It's an amazing stretch. I think if you can handle it, it's well worth trying it. It's safe for people who are a little bit older or have achiness and degeneration or XYZ. And like I said in the beginning, not everything is going to fit your body, but you just find what works best for you. Now, staying in this position here, she's gonna go right into the knees, the chest stretch. And so there's a couple variations here. The goal here is to feel that lower back stretch. And so we wanna pull enough to feel that lower back stretch. Now, if you're a little bit older, or you've had some knee pain or knee replacement, you just sneak those hands behind your knee and like so, and then that can give you that little extra boost into that range, which is great. Feels amazing. And now for some people like Claire and myself, we have some sticky hips, and so we can't necessarily get all of the range that we're looking for. So you just go into your best ability as far as you can. You can always do one-legged at a time too. There's no harm with that. It's the same thing. Knees, the chest. It's a great hip stretch as well. You might feel it in your glutes, which is great as well. So you have some variety, and that's what's awesome about your body. It's unique. Not one stretch fits everybody. You can find what works for you. And so we do that every day in the clinic and just help people still achieve that stretch despite their discomforts or what they're feeling. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments as well, right? It's not that hard. Just try to figure it out together. So in this position, it's called a hook line position. We're gonna continue on. So we did the glute stretches, we did the knees, the chest. And remember, I'm gonna put the dosage to all of this stuff in the description, so reps and sets that we typically recommend. So after she's loosened it up, we're gonna move right into the glute stretch. So the glutes, moving into the glute stretch, we're gonna hit the glutes, and the glutes attach to the lower back and the sacrum, and so stretching the glutes do really, really well to help loosen up a lower back. So she's gonna straighten one leg, and she's gonna grab with her left hand and grab on her knee, and she's gonna pull diagonally either towards her armpit or towards the others, or towards the floor, or any direction here. So you can see her pulling in multiple directions, and what she's doing is just trying to find that stretch into her glute. And you want a nice good yank and then a relax. A nice good yank, try again, and relax. Good. Now she's gonna show on the other side as well. So the same exact thing. So she's stretching her glutes. You're gonna feel that stretch, and the glutes attach to the lower back. And it's okay too if the hips come off the table a little bit, whatever it suits your body and whatever you feel like you do well with. A good pull and then relax. So in the past, we used to think that a longer hold was better, but what we're finding is that good yank and hard pull will help loosen you up without your body protecting itself. So now the extra little bonus with this glute stretch is, again, she's going to straighten, well, she's gonna keep one leg bent. She's gonna straighten into that glute, and what she's going to do is cross that leg over, and then she's still gonna pull, oh, right there, and then she's gonna use that knee to leverage her ankle a little bit. It's a little bit more complicated, but if you could see it when she comes back up here, hold right there. So one knee, or one foot is crossed over the knee, and so in this position, her right knee is bent, her left knee is in her hand, and then her left ankle is positioned on her right knee, and she is going to twist over. And that can give you a little bit extra into the glutes. She's gonna try again on the other side, so we can get a different view. Bingo, 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 yep. And then rotate and enjoy that awesome stretch, which is super, super cool. It's a great, great stretch. Now, if you have any groin discomfort or you feel it into your groin, you want to vary that range of motion. You don't want to have groin discomfort with this. What you do want to have is a great glute stretch. And so feeling those glutes loosen up is a really, really good feeling. So we've went over multiple stretches so far. Make sure you try these as we go. Just lay on the ground and enjoy it. Again, reps and sets will be in the description, and we're going to keep moving on. All right, so the last one on the table here is we're going to lay on her side. Yep, she's gonna do a windmill here. And so what this does is just loosens things up. Where the last one we went over, the glute stretch, was a muscle stretch, but this is more of a joint. And so you're gonna feel this more, hopefully a little bit more in your upper back and lower back. And so knees are bent, and what she could do is take her left hand and grab the top of her knees, just for a little bias, yeah. Relax your head down. And then she's gonna open up with her right hand all the way across. And so she has a little bit of equipment in her way, but she's gonna do her best. And this, you want to keep your head in a better position than what Claire is in right now. So typically I like to recommend a pillow because that's gonna help support your neck so you can have that good neck support, and then rotate over, and you wanna try to feel this in your entire spine. Some caveats could be she can bring her knees closer to her chest if she wanted, or a little bit farther down if she wanted. I just like using that hand there because that's gonna make you get that range of motion from your back, which is a really, really good feeling. The other caveat being, as she rotates all the way around, is you wanna breathe out. You wanna get the air out of your lungs so you can get that extra rotation out of your thoracic spine where the lungs live, so you can get a little bit more bang for your buck. And so trunk rotation or a windmill or open book or whatever you wanna call it is just a great total spine movement. Again, you can do it on the floor or in your bed. Just enjoy the movement and see how it feels. Okay, so now we're gonna keep moving on here. We're gonna go into the prone press, which is just great joint mobility here. Now the caveats with this, the hand positioning is a little bit important. The goal here is to feel it in your lumbar spine, is that you want to feel it in your lower back, so just above the glutes. And so she's going to position her arms just above her shoulders, and she's going to give herself a good push. And the goal here is just listening to your back. And so some stiffness in the lower back is very common. Some pressure is what we're looking for, but with this one, the relief comes as you continue to do more. And so in her position, she's prone on elbows, but now she's gonna go on her hands. She's gonna press up into that end range and then come back down. Now, if you've been on this earth for a few days, you may be a little stiff in this movement. You may just start by lying on your belly, but this is extension of your lumbar spine, which is a very safe movement for us to do. We're built to do it. But if we've had some lower back stuff in the past, you can absolutely feel this. And even when I have my sticky days in my back, when I go into this movement at first, I'm not really liking it, but as I continue, it feels better. What you want to focus on is only feeling this in your lower back. If you start to feel stuff into your glutes or down your legs, you really need to move on to a different stretch. I just really wouldn't force that discomfort. And there are some treatments in the clinic that we do, and we kind of look for that as an indicator of like how the treatment is going. But on your own, I'd really stay away from that. So this is called the prone press, and she's going to continue with one more. A nice breath out and relax. And if any of you guys haven't done yoga in the past, right, a lot of this is a yoga-based movements and stretches because yoga does very well at improving joint mobility in your back. All right, so now I guarantee that she's feeling a little bit looser. She's gonna go right onto her and into a kneeling position. Yep, so she's in a tall kneel position here. She's gonna put one leg in front of the other. And this is a hip flexor stretch. So if you're doing this at home, what I would recommend is being on the ground, a pillow underneath the knee, and then a chair or something next to you so you can get this stretch. And so she is going to stay really tall with her body, contract her abs slightly, and then just shift her weight forward. So you're gonna see that weight shift forward, which is awesome. So in this particular stretch, she's gonna feel it in the front of her hip. And then she's gonna press back and she's gonna rock into that motion about one more time here. Stay nice and tall with the body. Good, and then relax. And now she's gonna switch legs. Perfect, nice and tall again. So she should feel this in her right thigh and the front of her hip. Great stretch. So right thigh, front of the hip, she's going to squeeze her abdominals, get a little more out of it. And if you're looking for an extra bonus, she gets into that position, she's gonna squeeze that sided glute right there. And that's gonna help open up the hip because when your glutes contract, your hip flexors have to relax. And so it's a nice little trick that we like to do in the clinic. Here, you really just want to make sure that knee is comfortable, right? So I've done this with people who've had knee replacements in the past. You just have to have enough pillows underneath it and just make sure it's comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you won't be able to enjoy much of the stretch. And so the hip flexors attached to the lower back. A great way to open up the lower back is just to relax those front muscles or the anterior muscles, and in this case being the hip flexors. Very cool, and I think we've got one more. Here we go. All right, so we're gonna move into the very last stretch here, being an L stretch, and it's just named that position because of Clara's position here. So you wanna have a countertop or something high. She's gonna scoot back just enough to where she can get that stretch, spread her legs a little bit, and then what she's gonna do is just bend over like that, keeping the arms fairly straight. And she's going to feel that stretch in her lower back, maybe her lats, the back of her hamstrings. So The things that you can do to modify this would be the amount of bend in your arms. You can have a little bit more, a little bit less. Amount of bend in your legs, a little bit more, a little bit less, just depending on what your needs are and what you're feeling. But you want to try to sink down into that stretch as much as you can so you can feel that upper back and lower back loosen up. What I love about this is that you can do it basically anywhere. You can do it as many times as you would like to get that mobility relief. And you can do it to improve leg length, lower back length, arm stiffness. It really can hit a lot. The biggest thing that I see with this is people just don't use a high enough surface to really achieve that change. And so she can keep moving into that. And again, she's not gonna hold forever. You're kind of gonna go in and out into the stretch. And so guys, we've went over 10 great stretches, things that you can do to improve mobility and stiffness in your lower back that are just awesome. They're so much fun. And again, that package for you may just be 2 or 3 of these to get that relief. But look into the description about dosage that we typically do and typically prescribe in the clinic, and then just start with that and see how your body goes. As always, guys, leave some comments, engage into some community involvement relating to the community around lower back pain and just helping others improve. And if you guys like what I'm putting out there, please subscribe to the channel, show some love, and then as always, stay healthy, keep moving, and take care of yourself.